record on the screen. All right. So now we're good. Okay. So we're recording. Live stream seems to be going. Should hopefully be getting comments if anything is going terribly wrong technically. So let's give it a go. All right. So thank you to everyone who is on right now. We're really excited about the launch of our SaaS platform. So as we're noting here, this is a private beta launch. So the beta is about ready. It's, really come together really well over the past couple of months, and the team has worked very hard to put it together. And we're looking forward to showing it to you and to giving you all access to it. So at the end of the live stream, I'll just share a link and you guys can go and start using it for yourself. So I guess to get started on that note, if you're completely unfamiliar, so Netmaker has been around for a couple of years now, and up to this point, it's basically just been a project on GitHub. So you could go there, you could star it, you could download the source code, you could run it yourself. But there wasn't really an easy way to get going if you aren't familiar with a lot of the things that GitHub users are familiar with. So to set up our server, you need to know DNS, you need to know Docker, you need to know Linux. So it's a lot of upfront work just to get that server going, and it can be pretty technically complex. So the SaaS just takes away that. We're always going to have the community edition. We're always going to have the option to run it from source code. We want our users to have that. And it's actually a one-to-one between the two. So we've set up a SaaS that basically runs that same product that you can run for yourself from GitHub, but makes your experience easy. So yeah, with that, let's go ahead and get started. I wanted to give a bit of an introduction before we get going, just for people who aren't as familiar with what we do. I think we do have a lot of users or people on this live stream, I think, who have not maybe worked with Netmaker before, or maybe aren't so familiar with it. So I want to give just a little bit of background. Then after that, I'll go through a demo using the SaaS to just show a use case. And then after that, we'll do a Q&A where you can ask whatever questions you have that did not get answered during the live stream. And then we'll wrap up at the end and give you the link to sign up, give you some resources in case there's any other issues. Yeah, and that'll be it. So we'll try to make this quick and painless, try to keep it interesting for you. So yeah, again, ask any questions you've got while I'm going. I will try to stay up to speed on them, and do my best to split my attention between talking and going through the live stream. I am not a professional Twitch streamer, so we'll see how well I do at that. So, okay, just to give an introduction, I want to talk a little bit about VPNs, about modern networking, and the value that Netmaker provides, just so you have a bit of background before we get into the SaaS. So what is a VPN? When we talk about it, we tend to think of some very, very common use cases. I think everyone here who has used a VPN probably has a couple things in mind. So one is to give you just private access to the internet. So anyone who's used a VPN for personal use, it might be just getting to Netflix from another country, or just, securing your data while you're online. And then another is if you're a business person, on your business laptop, you probably have some form of corporate VPN running to connect to corporate resources. So those are very, very common use cases. And, if you're familiar with NordVPN or Surfshark, those are kind of the number one. And Cisco, Fortinet, you see is kind of number two, AnyConnect. Those are very common VPNs. And I think this is what people think of when they hear the term VPN. But a VPN is really a much broader thing than that. So when I think about it, it's a way to just connect resource A to resource B securely over a public network. And then on top of that, because it's called a virtual private network, it is a way to virtualize your network. So those are two separate and very powerful concepts that have a whole range of use cases outside of the ones that I just talked about, the personal VPN and that standard corporate VPN. So how does this relate to kind of modern business practices and a lot of just modern concepts in general? So when you look at modern business networks, there's a lot of different environments typically, a lot of disconnected environments, and just a lot going on in general. So you have, often different office locations and sites. You'll have IoT devices, you'll have edge environments, multiple clouds, data centers, and each one of these tends to live in a distinct network. Coordinating across these different networks can be a very large headache. So, beyond just that challenge of security, which is mostly what we think of with a VPN, there's also the challenge of connectivity. It's not just about making your access anonymous or private, it's about making that access altogether. When you look at a data center, they have, and this applies to clouds as well, they have their own custom firewalls and security groups and gateways. They have all this vendor software for managing it. Just for this demo, I was setting up some access in AWS, and there's a ton of very specific AWS stuff you got to do to connect point A to point B. The same goes for offices and physical locations, which often have more like physical devices and routers you have to deal with, physical firewalls, um, and you'll have to modify those things manually. Then on top of that, you have the devices. So that's IoT, that's edge, and that's also just, personnel. It's people with laptops. It's you guys. So you don't have your own IP address. You move between different networks, and you often, don't know what network you're even on. You're just connecting to Wi-Fi. It can be very difficult to control and coordinate those types of devices when you're unaware of where they are. So this is really where Netmaker comes in, and it's meant to kind of bridge three very important concepts, which are connecting, controlling, and securing devices. So control and secure, I think people are more familiar with, or maybe just secure, but really connecting is a big part of that as well. So we connect devices wherever they are, we find them, we set up the routes to reach those devices. We control the network access across a wide range of devices. So when you think about, you have different data centers, IoT devices, clouds, you need a central way to manage access across all of those things. And then obviously secure, just keeping data anonymous and encrypted and safe. But that on its own, there are other platforms that offer something similar. A lot of VPNs actually do enable you to set up those types of access, things like OpenVPN, IPsec. You can do these sorts of things. So the question is, what makes Netmaker different? And that's two things. The first is WireGuard. WireGuard is a very new protocol in the industry. It's been around for a few years now, but was more recently added to the Linux kernel. It's really popping up in popularity, and it's extremely fast. So that's a big piece of it, is just the performance that we're able to offer. By running on top of WireGuard, we get both cutting edge encryption and also extremely fast performance and with minimal resource use. The other is the types of networks we create, which are peer-to-peer or mesh VPN type networks. So in these types of networks, every device is able to create a direct connection to every other device. This gives you a large degree of configurability. It also gives you a large degree of control over access. So you're basically, when you create networks like this, you're able to shape your network to look exactly how you want it, which is a really powerful tool, as we'll begin to see when we get to the demo. So I'm going to pause there for a second. We have one question so far, which is, when will the email arrive? So I posted a link to the form in the chat. If you want to fill that out, you're welcome to, and then we'll send you an email just saying, hey, thanks for joining. Again, here's a recap. Here's the video. We'll probably send that tomorrow or today. Yeah, but again, you don't have to send you don't have to sign up with the email. Again, at the end of this chat, if you're around still, we'll have the link for the sign up. Okay, so I think that's the only question so far. So I'm going to keep going. All right, next up is talking a bit about the use cases. So when you're able to create networks that are extremely flexible, it allows you to obviously do a lot of things that maybe you couldn't do before or couldn't do as well. So these span different, I'd say, maybe industries or types of work. Yeah, so a very common one we have is just home use. This tends to be hobbyists, tech enthusiasts, or just kind of security buffs, people who want to be using this type of VPN to access things at home. And they might have file servers or other types of things set up locally that they want to access from the road or provide access to other people. So that's one. And then we get into more of the business use cases. So when we talk about those offices and those sites, you can really start to replace a lot of your more expensive hardware and software services for like SDN type stuff with a much more simple tool for managing network access across sites and offices and whatnot. On the data center and cloud side, there's a lot of talk nowadays about hybrid cloud and multi-cloud, just connecting environments together. And Netmaker allows you to unify those environments by creating kind of a single subnet that all of your devices can live in, which is a very powerful concept. And then last off, we have the IoT and edge use cases. And this is a very interesting one that we see a lot of very interesting users doing, which is you have these devices scattered all over the world. You might not know where they are. Perhaps they're on insecure networks running on public Wi-Fi, or you don't even know where they're deployed, but you'd like to be able to manage the access to them, manage the networking on them, and also have, like predictable IP addresses that you can assign to them. And this allows you to do that from a central platform, which is another great use case. Okay, so pausing again for a question. Is the private beta available only for companies or individuals as well? This is available for everyone. Yeah, anyone who's on this call right now, and soon everyone else, if you have the link, you can go there and sign up. We'd love to see anyone sign up and do this. So yeah, you are more than welcome to sign up for it. Okay. So with that, we can move on to the demo portion, and I will go ahead and get that started. All right, maybe I'll pause and make sure there's no other questions that pop up. I think the delay might have increased based on when the questions are coming in, but that's okay. All right. Let me stop this share and bring up. Here. Okay. So I am going to go ahead and get us started on our SaaS. And for those who might have caught it already, you can actually just go to this link right now and sign up. So we're going to share it at the end, but yeah, you are welcome to go here and just get going. Yeah, but in the meantime, I'm going to walk you through this. So I've set up a little instance here, and we're going to walk through a use case. Right. Oh, so what is the use case? You probably want to know that. So we have on this machine here a GitLab instance. It's GitLab running on AWS in a Docker container, and it is running, it's exposed on this private address here, if you can see that. And this is actually the VPC address. So what we want to do is provide access to this GitLab instance running in AWS. So pretty common remote access type of use case, but kind of combining that with the idea of like a cloud use case. So let's walk through quickly how we can do that with Netmaker. Let me just go back to the page here. So we have it running at this public address. Well, the instance is at this public address, but just to confirm, it's not reachable there. That access is not allowed, and it will be reachable at this private address, but we actually can't reach that either. So not going to work too well. So let's use Netmaker to go ahead and do that. And where did my instance go? There we go. So this is the SaaS platform. I just signed in and I have my instance running here. When you first sign up, you'll see a network was pre-created for you. It'll be empty, unlike mine, but it'll be called Netmaker. And there will also be an access key created for you. So that's basically how it gets you set up. And then you go to this landing page, and it has actually a tutorial over here that you can use as well to learn. So actually, I'm going to encourage you all to look at this if you want to learn more about both our new UI and just how to use Netmaker in general. It's a very long tutorial, I'll say, but it goes through the whole platform. You can go through all the different concepts, from networks to enrollment keys to hosts to nodes, Egress, Ingress, relay, metrics, really everything you can imagine. And it tries to do it very concisely. So if you're really looking to do a deep dive, I would say this is the way to do it. We'll work on putting up a shorter, maybe 5-minute version of this as well. But yeah, so here we are on our instance, and you can actually see here we've already got some instances running. We have a few VMs. We have one in AWS. We have one actually in DigitalOcean in New York, and we have one in DigitalOcean in Singapore. And they have all their private addresses set up, and you can see them on this nice little graph. their peer-to-peer access to each other. So this is our little basic network. And what we want to do is add our host into this network, and we want to make it able to reach that machine on AWS. Now, worth noting, this machine on AWS is not the one running GitLab. This is a different device. So we're going to use this device as a gateway to reach that other device on AWS. And we could just put the client on that device running GitLab, but this is a more fun way to show you how you can provide access to a whole VPC or subnet using one of your devices. So we'll show that in just a moment. But for now, let's go ahead and add my machine into this network. So I'm going to add a new host, and that's going to bring us to the registration page. It's going to allow us to select an enrollment key. We then select our platform, and it gives us a nice little command to install the client. So on my local, I'm going to go ahead and run that. And that's going to take a little bit just to download that and install. But yeah, basically while it's running, you get all these nice little ways to download and install on all your devices, including Docker, which is a very nice one to have, especially if you're used to doing a lot of these DevOps type things. But we have access across a wide variety of device types, and we'll talk a little bit about how to get the ones that maybe aren't as well supported. Okay. And we do have another question while we're going through this, which is about if this can be posted on a YouTube channel. I am actually recording this and will be putting it on our channel, so you will be able to see this afterwards. But if you'd like to talk about sharing it, we can chat afterwards. I'm not sure which user that is. I'm getting the question secondhand, but I will check afterwards. Okay, so our client is installed, and now we want it to join the network. So, oops, gotta choose my device type. We've got a command here to do that. And there we go. And that's pretty much it to get into a network. We should see it show up momentarily inside of our host page. And there we go. This is my local device. We can see it's now got addressed there. And if we look here, it's got handshakes with everything in the network. Everything appears to be reachable. Yep, looks good. So we're good to continue here. So if we take a look now at our network layout, we should see one more device. So now we've got 4. And now we want to access that VPC. So let's go back to our Egress page. Our Egress feature enables us to turn a device into a sort of router to reach a subnet or multiple subnets. So looking back at this host, we see it's got access to the VPC subnet. So we can go back here, create an egress out of it. So this is our AWS device. There's a lot more powerful features there we're not going to talk about right now. We'll set it up to reach the whole subnet and then create. And that is pretty much it. So going back over to AWS, we saw that this is the private address. Let's see now if we can reach it. Hey, there we are. So as if I'm on the local network or the VPC from my laptop, I'm able to sign into this private GitLab. Hooray. Oh, did I might have gotten the password wrong, but at least I'm able to get to the address. So that's pretty nice. Okay. Oh, wait, I might remember what it is. Let's give that one more go. Hey, there we go. Now I'm able to get in. So I'm going to show one other nice little feature here. you might not want to access this over just a, IP address. So what if I want to use private DNS to do that? Well, luckily here I've got some DNS management. So I'm going to go ahead and say gitlab.netmaker. And here's our address to alias. So create my DNS entry. And now let's give that a go. GitLab.netmaker. Whoops. Probably doesn't like that postfix very much, but there we go. We're now accessing it over the private DNS. Perfect. Okay. Oh, and we got a great question in the chat, which is, can you create an egress on external clients? So perfect timing to get that question. We're going to talk about that right now. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with external clients, this is the way that we provide access to devices that are maybe a little harder to integrate. So stuff that can't run the clients so easily. In this case, you're running your own WireGuard config file. So what I'm going to do is create a client with a client gateway. And I'm going to answer that question at the same time. So here we go to our client gateway. We select a host. So I'm going to make this DigitalOcean droplet. This is going to be my gateway. So unlike Egress, which brings traffic out of the network, this is going to bring traffic into the network. And we can do some features like setting the client ID. Now here is a more advanced setting. You could provide your own public key to make it more secure. You could also add additional IP addresses to that machine. So this is how you can do it with an external client. What I'm going to do here is just add this extra address to my external client and add it to the network. So I'm creating this. I now have the client here, and it has that extra set of allowed IPs on the client. And what that lets me do is I can take this client and I can download it, and you can run that on the device that you want to act as an egress gateway. Now, because this is just a simple config file, it doesn't have our advanced client features, you have to set up the routing yourself. So typically this is some simple IP tables rules or NF tables. Or if you're running on some router operating system, it might have some other stuff, but basically you set up the routing rules to forward traffic into that network on the device. And then, yeah, that device is now able to route traffic for your Netmaker network. So that's a very powerful feature. And I'm glad you asked that question. But yeah, that's basically the beauty of the external client. It provides integrations for different types of devices. And, you can integrate stuff like iPhones. So if you're on the road and you want to connect to the network, you create a client and you could scan this QR code from your phone. You'll use the WireGuard app, and that'll be how you access the network. So yeah, that is pretty much it with the clients and with Egress. I went through that much faster than I thought I would. But you can see our graph here now. The layout's a little funky, but you can kind of see, so we've got these two clients. They connect via New York 1. So that's how they route their traffic, is in through this guy. The rest of these guys are in a peer-to-peer network. And then over here, we've got the Egress gateway, the subnet range that we're routing to. Yeah, I guess one other thing I can show, let me just do this, is access controls. So controlling access to a network. So let's say I don't want my local device to be able to reach GitLab for whatever reason. I can just cut off that access right here. And that should be enough to cut it off. So let's see. if that did it. Okay, can't be reached now. That's unfortunate, but luckily we should be able to just bring it back. So if we submit that, then refresh, might take a minute, see how fast it goes. Pretty good. Yeah, now we have access again. So click of a button, you turn on and off access. And it can also get a lot more advanced than this. So for instance, you want to do something more like zero trust, make everything disconnected in your whole network, and then you define which things can connect. So maybe it's just these two that can connect and nothing else. And you can set up networks to do that by default, but that's a more advanced change, I'd say. So that's really it for our demo. We went over the graph, we went over access controls, egress, clients, hosts in a pretty short time frame, but I just wanted to show, hey, how do you set this up real quickly? I'm going to pause again for any questions, maybe for a couple minutes while I wait for the live stream to catch up to Mohammed. So, oh, we do have a question. Okay, will the client app for pfSense be? Client app for pfSense. So we don't have an app for pfSense. But if you go back to our add a host, you'll notice you can install a client on FreeBSD. I believe pfSense is FreeBSD based. So if you have access to the operating system, you should be able to run the client on the operating system directly. Now, there's something much more advanced that I'm pretty excited about that just came out today, or maybe it was yesterday or a few days ago. One of our users in the community actually created not a pfSense, but an OpenSense plugin for the Netmaker platform. So let me go ahead and find that while I wait for any more questions to come in. Yeah, 1 second. Where is that OpenSense? There we go. Netmaker plugin. Right. Okay. Cool. So this is pretty cool. This guy just made this. So I'm gonna put it on there from a few days ago. FreeBSD package for Netmaker 20.1 and OpenSense plugin to reflect the changes. So yeah, he's making an OpenSense plugin. A little out of scope for us to maintain right now, but we love it when our community does these sorts of things. Okay. Oh, and because I didn't make it abundantly clear, we are now in the Q&A section of things. So let me just pull that up on the slide so that you're able to know that we're there. And in the meantime, it looks like we have another question, which is, can you talk about using it as an internet gateway on Egress? Right. Okay. I'll bring that up in a second. Once I get the slide back up. 1 second. Q&A. Okay. That's all I wanted to show, was that we're on the Q&A section. So can we talk about using it as an internet gateway? Right. So the internet gateway feature is basically to route all internet traffic through a device. And when you think about it, it's very similar to just doing regular egress. So let's say for whatever reason, I want my internet traffic to go through Singapore. I've got this device in Singapore. I'm going to create an egress. So we've got this guy here, and we're going to select Singapore and then select external ranges. Oh, what's this switch here? Internet gateway. All it's doing is adding 0.0.0.0/0 as a range. And in networking speak, that means all addresses in IPv4. So all of my IPv4 traffic is going to start going through this machine if I create it as an egress. So that's basically the idea of doing that as an internet gateway. Yeah, so definitely play around with that. Okay, can you please showcase the relay functionality as well? Okay, yeah, so the relay functionality, we've got it over here. So if you talk about it, this is a way to make devices communicate that maybe are having trouble communicating. So for whatever reason, device A can't reach device B. Now, this is something, sorry, I'm reading questions while I'm going through this. I shouldn't. I'm gonna hide the question thing for a second so that I don't get distracted. We're aiming to phase this out by moving more towards stun and turn, which again, we're getting into more advanced networking topics, but basically the turn server is a thing that we have running that will relay the traffic automatically. So you don't have to set up one of these things. But in some edge cases, you might need to do this. So I can say for whatever reason, this device in Singapore is unreachable. So I can go ahead and say, all right, Singapore. Oh, whoops, I did that in the opposite way. So if the Singapore one is unreachable, you want another device to act as the relay. So I'm going to say, New York, you're my relay to Singapore. So then I add Singapore to there, and it is now getting relayed through there. So what that means is on the Singapore device, it's only going to see New York as a client or as a peer, and all the traffic to the other peers in the network, like AWS and my machine, are going to route through New York. And I think, let's see, do we have that set up? We still got to make some changes on our graphing page. So I don't think it's showing the relays yet. That should be pretty soon. Yeah, so that'll be coming a bit later. But what you would see is basically a Singapore device behind New York. So in order for my machine or AWS to reach it, that's how it will get there. Okay. Let's see. Okay, looks like I've got a couple more questions. Right. Okay. Does the AWS instance need a public IP? Is it possible to access GitLab when AWS instance is behind a NAT? So there is only an outgoing public IP. That should be fine. Yeah. It depends on the use case, or it depends on the scenario a little bit. I believe that works fine. I believe I've tested that. Yeah. So if not, that would be a situation to use the relay, because then it will definitely work. You have that device, basically the relay device then acts as that public IP instead of the AWS device. But again, my home device is in the network right now, and it's behind a NAT gateway. It doesn't have its own IP address, and it's connected to the network just fine to everything else. So yeah, you don't need to have a dedicated public IP to be reachable. And that's a lot of what our stun and turn is doing, is discovering those endpoints so that it's easier. Okay, another question. Does the can I route traffic to blocked sites through one Netmaker client and to unblocked sites through another Netmaker client? Okay, so that gets a little bit specific, but yes. So the way that our Egress works today is you set up access to IP addresses. So what you would want to do is you would want to say, all right, what are my blocked sites? And let's say you can only access those blocked sites from Singapore. So maybe, Facebook is on 1.2.3.4. And then, that's not valid. My bad. I'm not thinking too straight. 1.1.1.1, which obviously is not valid either, but, or wouldn't be the address, but, and then you've got another one like google.com is on that. So then you would have to add a list for all of those IP addresses, for all of your blocked sites. And then your blocked sites will be going through these, through this gateway. So that'd be the way to do that. Okay. And I'm going to pause for a second. I think that might be all the questions right now, but I will give it a moment for things to come through since there is that delay. And let's see, while I'm waiting, what else can I tell you? Well, I guess while I'm waiting, let me go ahead and share that sign up link once more. So again, app.netmaker.io. That's really it. We're not putting it on the public website yet. And that's why we're calling this private. But with this link, you can go ahead and go there. So again, app.netmaker.io. You go there. And let me just show you the sign up process. Actually, that's probably nice to have. So I believe I made an email for this. So I'm on incognito. Yep. All right. So you can sign up with an account either with Google or GitHub, or just an email address. So in my case, I've got this address. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So you'll just go ahead and create that account. And what it's going to need to do is send you a verification email. So you'll need to check for a verification email. So if I go to my email, I should have that. So you should actually get two emails, one from admin at Netmaker, just welcoming you, and then the other with a verify my email button. So you go to that. And then there we go, email verified. And then you should be able to sign in. Let's go ahead and go there. And it's actually setting up my instance right now. So, that was very quick, but it's setting up your account in the background. And then there you are, you're logged in. And you start out on a free account. So this is good information to have. So you have a free account when you start. You go to manage your account, or you just click that upgrade now button. So you can upgrade to the pro account and you won't be paying any money. All you have to do is put a credit card down. So if you're interested in the pro account, you just put that down, but it won't charge you anything until you go over your limits. So what that does is increase your limits quite a bit and give you some extra features. So by going to Pro, you can do multi-user stuff. So add other users to your account. You can do multi-network. So you can have up to 10 networks for free. Those are the main ones, are the users and networks. And then you get also metrics on your dashboard, which is really nice. So you just go there and you click upgrade, and then it'll go ahead and upgrade your account. And then just be warned, you won't be able to use it until you add your payment details. So be aware of that. But yeah, again, it's basically free extra resources, free extra features if you want to try that out. Okay, and it looks like we have another question. Will there be native integration in I never know how to pronounce that. Is it Microtic or Microtic? Microtic, maybe, router OS in the future. Not planning on that. We looked into it before. I believe they have a fairly weird and niche operating system. So that's not a focus for us. I'm not even sure. Maybe they're BSD based, but yeah, we would basically have to devote a lot of effort to that for just that one operating system. So it's not going to be a focus for us for a while. But what I would say is, if Router OS supports WireGuard, I'm not sure if it does, but if it does, use the external client, manage it that way. So, the way we've set it up is, now have complete control over that instance. And yeah, I would just use the external client. Okay. Sorry, I said that in the middle of upgrading the account. I just upgraded mine, so it should be good now. I think it's still saying free plan, even though I upgraded it. It's a little weird. Might be something to look into, but actually might just be some caching on my UI side. We need to fix that. We'll see. Okay, so let's see. Other questions? I want to provide here some links. So we talked about the demo. That's at netmaker.io/demo page. So might want to write that down. There's no link from the homepage right now to this. But if you sign up, there'll be a link on the homepage of your Netmaker instance, so you can get to it there. There's also our docs, and of course our GitHub. If you want to star us, definitely star us. You can always set up the community version here. That'll always be there. And yeah, what else? I guess we have a community on Discord. We have a feedback channel on Canny. So we would love to get your feedback on Canny, and also email. So any way you want to provide us with feedback, we'd love to hear it. We're looking to you guys to help us out and make this as great as it can be ahead of the official launch. Pricing. Yes. That's a very good question. Something I probably should have prepped for, but yeah, pricing, no problem. So we're going to a very simple pricing strategy here. The idea is basically we want to, oh, right, I need to provide the billing. We want to make this as simple as possible. So here are your free limits. You get up to 30 hosts free. You get up to 100 external clients free. And then you're limited on networks and users on the free plan. On the Pro plan, you still get all those limits, in addition to 10 networks and close to unlimited users. And we're just doing device-based pricing. So this will go on the website once we go live with this. The pricing will be very clear on there. But it'll just be $1 per device per month after you reach your limits. So we're not going to do it based on users. Trying to keep it simple. So for both hosts and external clients, just $1 per month after 30 hosts and 100 clients. And then I think it's up to like 250 free users. And if you're going above that, then we'll put you on some sort of more enterprisey type plan. And then also networks. So you get 10 free networks. If you're going above that, you're probably doing some very businessy stuff. So if additional networks after 10 would be $10 per network per month. So that's about it. If for most people, you're probably going to stay within the free limits if you're doing it personal use. Small businesses also probably will stay within those limits. And then it's just as you get a bit larger, you'll start hitting that subscription pricing. And I'll share more info on that after this. Okay. So let's see. Any other questions? We've taken up just about an hour here, which is great. I put an extra half hour on there just in case we needed it, but was hoping we'd be able to keep it to an hour. So that's pretty good timing in my book. Yeah, again, join our Discord, star us on GitHub, sign up for the SaaS, start giving us feedback. Would love to hear it. And yeah, I'll give it one more minute to see if any questions come through, any last minute stuff. And then we'll go ahead and wrap up. Love the questions on this. There were so many good ones. Really appreciated a lot of those. Yeah, so thank you guys for doing so many good questions. There were some fun ones there and some ones I wasn't thinking of either. So very, very good stuff that added, I think, very useful info for people, especially the pricing plan. The pricing plan, just some stuff about Egress and whatnot. And okay. Can we join the private beta? Yes, you can. Again, this link right here, just click it and sign up and you're in it. That's all you have to do. Yeah, you can go ahead and sign up right now. And all we ask is give us some feedback. So we'll probably be doing some upgrades over the next couple of weeks, and then we'll be going live with it. So you guys are just getting a bit of early access to it. And all we're going to do is take this link, put it on the main page of the website. So we're just not sharing this out with everyone yet. We don't want to, open the floodgates, so to speak, but we're feeling pretty good about it so far. Cool. Okay. Well, we're just about up at 2 p.m. And I think that was a good number of questions. So I'm going to go ahead and call it. Really loved having everyone on here. Loved all the questions. So thanks again, everyone, for joining. And yeah, feel free to share this. I'll be sharing out a video as well. If you filled out that form, again, go up to the top of the comments. There's that form there. If you want some email communications from us, I'll send out the slide deck and recording so that you're able to access it again if you need it. Yeah, but other than that, thanks again. I will talk to you all soon. All right. Now I just need to figure out how to close the live stream. Let's see there.